And we're back. Happy Saturday. This is Minding Your Business with the Lancaster Chamber of Commerce on News Talk 1380, the Antelope Valley and North LA County source for your news now. I'm Chris Spiker. Our next guest, Aaron, who's our next guest?
Our next guest is Michael Yeager from the law offices of Michael A. Yeager.
Michael, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You and I were sitting across from each other at a breakfast, and you're the new guy at a business for breakfast last month over at Domingo's. And I have a special place in my heart for new guys because, I mean, you know, you're comfortable in your own skin, but you go to this chamber event for the first time ever, new guy kind of.
Yep.
And you're shopping chambers.
A little bit. Yeah, you know, you got to find the right one that fits your personality and who you are and what you want to accomplish. And certainly it's nice to have one that's large and involved, you know, because you want to get involved with the community. That's what a lot of chambers are about. So.
I would imagine an attorney, your time is very valuable.
Yeah.
And you're going on all over the place in depositions and doing some traveling, and so you may not, we have breakfast, we have lunches, every once in a while we have a dinner, so there's something that'll match a schedule so you can show up and actually meet some people, which is kind of what marketing is all about.
Right. Well, it's a lot about just really getting to know people and you know, having those opportunities, you know, and having them, like you said, fit your schedule is very important.
So I was intrigued with your story. I really appreciate that you're shopping chambers, and so I said, come on the show and we'll have a chat and we'll show you how the Lancaster Chamber rolls.
All right.
You told me a story about your wife's family is here in the Antelope Valley, and so you've kind of made a little move to the high desert.
Right. Well, yeah, she moved out here, her family moved out here when she was in high school way back in the 80s, and of course, you know, she goes off to college. That's where we met. So when we were just down in LA and we were looking to move for a big change of scene, and we were coming up here every weekend practically. We said, you know, let's just go over here. We're going to be closer. We're 15 minutes away instead of an hour and a half.
Right.
And there's a lot of good work and a lot of good people out here, and it doesn't seem like there's enough attorneys. So I said, okay, we'll just work it.
Okay, you heard it here first. There are not enough attorneys in the Antelope Valley. Now, you know, that's kind of like a punchline, but really?
Well, you know, there's a lot of general practitioners,
Uh-huh.
but, you know, I'm kind of surprised when I do go to chamber events, there's one or two other attorneys, but not 10, not 20. We're not tripping over each other, it seems like.
So when you go to an event in Los Angeles or over the hill, there's 15 attorneys.
Yes, and you're all trying to differentiate yourself from the next guy over, and you've got 30 seconds to do so. And it's, you know, it's a little more challenging and a little frustrating sometimes. But you know, out here, I mean, a lot. But it is a very general practice type area. You're not going to specialize as much, but you do try and find your niche and your you know, where you're going to get your clients from and what services you're going to provide.
What is your niche?
I'm mostly focused on business and estate planning. I got my master's in tax law, and the important thing you learn about taxes, the important taxes you learn about are business income taxes and estate planning, and I figured, well, that seems like a very good, broad enough category that I can capture quite a few needs of people, but it's also, since I know the tax aspect, it's kind of like, hey, I'm going to not butt heads with your CPA, I'm going to give you advice that's going to save you some tax money, hopefully, at the same time.
Do you have a CPA you work with?
Not in particular, not in the area. Usually I work with other people's CPAs. A lot of times it's their CPAs are saying you need to get incorporated,
Right.
You need to get a living trust, and then that's where they come to me, and I know exactly what they're looking at. I know why they're giving them that advice and what entity to get them into, what type of trust they might need, instead of starting from scratch. And a lot of attorneys that don't understand the tax aspect of it, sometimes they kind of just know the legal aspect, and that is not always enough. That's
Not enough.
No.
We're going to pull that apart when it comes to probate court.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And the IRS always has a view of how your business operates, how your estate is settled. They always have a perspective, and if you can't anticipate it, boy, that's really when the hurt starts to come.
Here's a trick question for you. When is the best time to plan your estate?
Now.
Great answer.
Now. No, it really
Yes.
is. Anybody, you know, and that's the problem, is we never know when our time is up. And it's not just about planning for death, it's planning for emergencies, really. You know, people get into accidents all the time, and they might be unconscious for 2 weeks or more. You know, who's going to be managing your affairs? And if you want to say your spouse is going to do it, well, what if they were in the car with you at the time? Who do you know? And so it's about asking these tough questions. But once you're done, a lot of people talk about relief. They talk about, we've got a plan in place. We know who's going to do what, and that's really what the reward is. And they know they have someone they can rely on if they've got specific questions as their life changes, as their challenges come along.
Talking with Michael Yeager, and you're basically, so that would be called estate planning.
That would fall into estate planning, yeah.
If somebody had a question, they've been thinking about it for a while, and they realize, oh, you know, I'm almost 30, I'm getting up there, I need to have a conversation. How do they reach you? How do they find you?
Well, they have my website at www.myeagerlaw.com, or they can call my office at 866-398-3357, and I'll be very happy to spend some time. I like to try and give as much free consultation as I can reasonably do so, but you got to just let people know. I feel my job is just as much of being an educator as it is being an attorney.
Well, a well constructed estate, even if you think it's simple, it takes a lot of hours.
Oh, it can take a lot of hours. It really depends on how complex. Our families are complex these days, and that's what really adds to it. You know, and so you have to take into account, you know, that maybe that other family that, you know, you got a divorce from a few years ago, or maybe you have minor children, and what sort of issues, or who's going to raise that children. Do you want it to be your mother-in-law, or do you want it to be, you know, somebody else? And there are a lot of questions, and these are uncomfortable questions sometimes when it comes to estate planning. It's a lot of facing it, but once you do, there's always relief, and that's what I think is great about it.
At this week's Business for Breakfast, Terry Roth over at Joshua Cemetery said, how many of you have taken care of pre-needs? And out of 49 people, 2 people raised their hands.
Yeah, it's actually kind of shocking, the statistics, when you look at who, you know, we all like to ignore it as much as we can for as long as we can, and it's not until people get, it's usually the children, the adult children that actually push the elderly into it, and that's usually reluctantly in some cases. But you know, people, it's actually a lot more cost effective to get it done earlier and then modify it as you go along, rather than trying to get everything done, you know, in a rush while somebody's in the hospital or something. It becomes crazy, and that's when costs go up, mistakes get made, I hate to say, but the odds of something not representing the wishes of the person that the plan is for comes into play. So you want to do that as soon as you can.
How did you choose this line of employment?
You know, it kind of chose me. It's because like I said, you know, when you get a tax LLM, you learn about estate taxes. You know, it's whether you want to do it or not. That's really something I had to learn about and learn how to deal with. And so, even though I was focusing on businesses, I got a lot of business owners who needed estate plans. They were getting buy-sell agreements, for example, with their partners. And it was like, well, do you need a business succession plan? And it's like, well, you've got 2, 3, 4 partners, none of them with any means of taking care of their families. And so it's one of those things where it just was a natural fit at that point. And so, you know, it's just, the questions just kept coming up, and it kept, scenarios just kept coming, because like you said, not a lot of people have made these preparations. So when you ask that one question, suddenly everybody's, well, no, I think I should. You're the guy to talk to now. I trusted you with forming my business. Now I'm going to trust you with taking care of my family.
Wonderful.
So.
And you're able to just, how long have you been up here in the Antelope Valley?
Since November is when I formally moved up here. Visiting, boy, since the 90s.
I think it's I always like to see somebody moving in the cool time of the year. July 1st, you might get a different impression. It gets kind of warm up here, as you know.
Well, I've seen it snow up here. I've been up here for holidays.
Oh my goodness.
So I've seen, you know, when the flurries come and they stick for a few hours. So I knew what I was getting into when we came up here. I knew it was going to be hot summers, cold winters. And
that's the way it's always been. It's the high desert, but what an amazing place, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's actually great, and I love, you know, coming out here for the.
And when you mention all of the chambers and not many attorneys, not many going to the events, I really see this as a small fishbowl. And you can be a big fish in it, which is a pretty cool deal as far as marketing goes.
It is, and that's what's great is, yeah, you can do it, and you can help a lot of people in a lot of different ways too. Is there, you know, people are going to come back to you repeatedly, so you don't just have a client, you have a relationship, and that's what I think is really great. So it kind of cuts down marketing costs in a practical sense, but you really get to know that client, you get to know what they're doing and why, not just they want this one thing, this one moment. They've been coming to you for years, so you really know them, and you know their family.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to law school at Loyola Law School. It's where I got both my JD and my tax LLM, and I did my undergrad at UC Santa Cruz.
My wife's a dentist, and the flower shop is a corporation, so we have an annual meeting. We go down to Peter Funston's office, and he says, "We're both doctors, Chris, so you need to pay attention." You know, I'm surrounded by doctors. So congratulations on your degree, and passed the bar on the first attempt.
Oh, yes.
Woo, that's the kind of guy you want, you know,
Yeah.
on your crew.
Yeah. It was tough. Actually, the year I passed, the pass rate was about 50%. So
That's pretty high.
It's pretty high, but it's going to be getting lower and tougher each year for some reason. I think it's just more people taking it that shouldn't be, but you know, that was great. Yeah, and graduated magna cum laude, so that was actually really.
This is the guy you want to hire.
Yeah.
Michael Yeager, law offices of Michael Yeager. You can Google him. I bet you can find you. They're gonna find this video. They're gonna enjoy it. Say hi to everybody.
All right.
Thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
Lancaster Chamber. We'll be right back.